heal itself. It's not the acupuncture that's actually doing the healing. It's just the jump start so that the body can do what it's naturally supposed to do, which is heal itself. And I'm all for that. I'm all for naturally allowing my body to do its job, treating it nicely, loving on it, giving it what it needs so that it can just do its job.
Have you tried yoga? Maybe you should see a psychologist. Are you stressed? Change your diet. Acupuncture. Try stretching. Sleep. You've been doing so well. Stop stressing. Anxiety. Functionality.
Functionality.
Welcome back to the Functionality Podcast. I'm your host, Tausha. How are y'all functioning? The tea of the day is elderberry and echinacea tea, because the kids are about to go back to school, and I just feel that I've been around a little bit too many people lately, so you can never be too safe, and I'm all about herbally making sure that I keep my immune system up, because why not? So the topic of the day is, what is the tea on FND and acupuncture? Last week, I talked about what's the tea on FND and chiropractic care, and that leads me right into the tea on FND and acupuncture. Acupuncture is a little bit of a unknown, kind of unfamiliar territory. It could be. However, in traditional Chinese medicine, there is data and evidence to support its efficacy. It goes back like 3,000 years. So, I mean, they know what they're doing, and for them, it is traditional medicine. For us, it's alternative medicine. And what is interesting is I always do a little bit of research, a little bit of background on things before I am about to make an episode on them. And so when looking up acupuncture, anything that came from something in the Western world, any website that is from us and not like a holistic practitioner or anything like that, from like Mayo Clinic or Johns Hopkins or something like that, is like, acupuncture is not to be used solely by itself. It's not to be used in place of regular medicine. And so it's just interesting to see, because in China and probably in other Asian countries, that is their regular medicine. That's their traditional medicine. So it's like, why do they try to make it so much so that it's not for us? We can't completely rely on that. We have to make sure to only use that as alternative medicine, which it's cute. It's cute. I won't even get into how I really feel about that. However, I went to acupuncture. So right after I went to the chiropractor, I was looking deeper into what could help me, what methods of therapy, what other interventions could I do to help me with my symptoms, to help with symptom management. I'm going to the chiropractor. I felt good. Check. I have that done. But like I said in the last episode, I got a little bit of burnout. So what was my next step? And I decided it was acupuncture. So again, I went on Google and I Googled acupuncture near me, and there was one about a mile away. So I've been real good at finding things that are pretty close to the house. And that's how my story has gone. I've been blessed and lucky, really, to be able to be in a place where there are these things readily available, and I'm able to just Google it, get in contact with them, and get to it. I want to first give a history of acupuncture before I go into what my experience was like, just because a lot of people have heard about acupuncture, but they don't really know and haven't decided to dive into what exactly it is and kind of what it does, what it's for, etc. So here I am to give the tea on it. So in traditional Chinese medicine, it's used in combination with herbal medicine. Haha, I've been talking about my herbal tea. But in the Western world, it is alternative medicine. The Eastern way is that it's all about the qi. You've probably heard of the qi. The qi is your energy that flows through the human body. In traditional medicine, it is known as the life force. It is your life force that flows through you, the energy of life that flows through you. So this energy must continue to flow smoothly along the pathways or meridians in your body. And if I could digress for just a second, if anyone has heard of tapping or the tapping solution, it's a kind of a new intervention, a kind of a new thing that therapists are trying. Tapping has to do with your meridians as well. And I kind of dove into tapping, and it works also. But duh, because so does acupuncture. So it really is all about making sure that the energy inside you can continue to flow smoothly along the pathways, because really, we are really just a circuit. We really, the human body is a circuit of energy, a circuit of signals, a circuit of messages, a circuit of blood, a circuit of fluid flowing. We are constantly flowing and moving. And so if there's obstructions or if there are obstacles in the way, then of course, there's going to be consequences of that. So when the chi is obstructed, disease results. Things like stress, environmental factors, lifestyle behaviors like diet, sleep schedule, and recreational indulgences, and even genetics. Those all can block your chi. So if you're stressed out, you are disrupting your energy. If you are not eating right, your diet's all messed up, you're disrupting your energy. If you are not sleeping right, there's no pattern to your sleep schedule, that can be disruptive, because the whole point, we're trying to get back to homeostasis, back to your equilibrium, back balanced. And so anything that throws you out of alignment or out of balance can affect your chi, which then is going to result in disease, potentially. So then needling these points will release the flow of energy so that it can either increase, decrease, or be rerouted as it needs to. Because if you restore the flow of energy, then you restore the health. And so the cool thing about acupuncture, and I think of it as like, it's a science, it's an art, it's just like any other thing that we study. So it should be, I wish there was like acupuncturology. I'm sure there is. Forgive my ignorance. Somebody can tell me what it is, because it's a study. And so like they really have a lot of data and evidence behind these meridians and behind these points that they pick and why they pick them. So the acupuncturist should pick what type of effect on the chi that they are looking for, and they needle those points accordingly. So when you go into an appointment, they're going to ask you what your ailments are, what your difficulties are, where you're having pain or where you're having symptoms in your body, so that they can needle those points accordingly. They can pinpoint, you see what I did there? They can pinpoint the places in your body where the energy can get obstructed from certain things or whatever. I don't know. I haven't dove deep enough into it to know, but I'm super interested and it works. But let me not jump ahead. So then the Western way, the good old Western medicine, they make it way more complicated about what acupuncture really does. But all in all, they would think that putting needles into the body initiates a cascade of reactions through the different systems of the body. It's just the energy. But okay, so whether it's a cascade of reactions or whether it's your energy and life force needing to flow smoothly, all the acupuncture points are believed to stimulate the nervous system. This will signal the release of the chemicals back into the muscles, spinal cord, and brain. And it's chemicals such as like dopamine and endorphins. And those chemicals are going to encourage the body's natural healing abilities to move back towards that homeostasis that I was talking about earlier. And so all it is, it's like a jump start. I think of it as like it just jumps your body. You know how if your battery is dying, another car comes along and you guys hook each other up with like metal things. That's like stainless steel needles. And then it jumps it. It figures out how to get enough energy to that battery to get it flowing again so that it can heal itself. It's not the acupuncture that's actually doing the healing. It's just the jump start so that the body can do what it's naturally supposed to do, which is heal itself. And I'm all for that. I'm all for naturally allowing my body to do its job, treating it nicely, loving on it, giving it what it needs so that it can just do its job. But the most important part is that acupuncture stops pain. It stops pain. It causes the body to release those chemicals like I was talking about. And so then that makes things feel a little better. And then there's other areas of the body that it really like helps with. It reduces inflammation. It helps so much. I've seen so many recommendations for it for migraines, tension headaches, chronic back pain, GI issues, because it relieves nausea. It relieves indigestion. So all these different things, there's several things. I know people who have gone to it for a number of different things, which really that that's perfect for those of us that have FND, because then it's like we have so many different symptoms. And if you can go to one thing, one intervention, one place, one thing that can help kickstart and make a bunch of things better, I think that's winning. That's like a kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely do. So something cool that I found when I was researching is that the most pronounced effect of acupuncture is actually neurological. So the needle being inserted into the body stimulates the area of the brain that might correspond to a different location. So if there is a needle put in the arm or the leg or, any part of the back, maybe it may stimulate an organ, or it may stimulate the part of your brain associated with bringing the pain to the body, bringing the pain to that limb. So you may be targeting the pain in your foot, but then it really just stimulates the part of your brain that is making that pain come. So neurologically, hello, sign me up. And that's exactly what I did. And so what I found out, and what is always recommended, is that it's better just to do it in a course or a series than just one single appointment, or do one appointment and then wait 3 weeks and go to another appointment. That's not consistent enough for what your chi needs. That's not consistent enough. Just like the chiropractor, how you had to do, it was a series. They set me up with a treatment plan. So you probably are going to need some sort of a plan and start off heavy and taper off, and then you can probably do maintenance. And that's exactly what I did. I was going 2, sometimes 3 days a week. It's a very traditional place. They spoke very limited English. And I was like, I would prefer to be here, actually, because that lets me know that we're closer to having something more traditional than something more Western and just recently learned. And so they would say, can you come back in 2 days? Can you come back in 3 days? And so I could have, but it began to be a lot. It was a lot of acupuncture, but it was helping, and it really, really helped. And so they said that in China, people actually go every day. They get acupuncture every day to keep their chi flowing the way that it's supposed to. And they said, and then it was a kick to America, because then they were like, yeah, but people here in America, they're just so busy. They're so busy, so they just don't have time. Basically saying that we're so busy that we're just killing ourselves. We're so busy that we don't take time for self-care. We're so busy that we don't pay attention to our body until it's shutting down. And that they're telling me, like, if you keep coming, then you'll be doing better than if you keep interrupting your appointments, because there are some times I just couldn't go. Sometimes it was an interruption in my insurance, because it was covered by insurance for me. I found a place that does acupuncture for free for people who are veterans. Yay! So that was cool. So I got that set up, and so I was able to go, but then I only would get 12 appointments at a time. And so when my 12 appointments ran out, then I had to call again and get certified, or the claim had to go through again, all the fancy insurance stuff that makes us miserable while we're waiting on phone calls to be made. But I had to wait for that. And then so they were kind of like, you need to come back. And I'm like, yo, I'm working on it, but I need to wait for the insurance to approve it. It's better to do in a series. That's the point. But how does it work? How was my experience? So I would go in, and it was 20 minutes on each side. I would lay on my stomach first, because he always did my back first. So I would always have to have my shoulders and my back pretty much exposed. So I would just wear like a sports bra or a tank top or whatever. And because I needed my shoulders and my back, and then I would have to wear shorts or loose fitting pants, because I would have to roll them up past my knees, and because there was a point in the back of your knees, the back of your arms, the up your neck, and then your back. And then I think there was one more in my lower legs. I was intimidated a little bit at first. I was open to it, but when I laid down at first, and I was laying on my stomach and I couldn't see what he was doing, I was kind of like, number one, we don't speak the same amount of English. But number two, I hope he knows what I'm in here for. Number three, I can't see what he's doing. But let's go for it. And so I went for it. And so then once he put the needles in, then it's 20 minutes on each side, like I said. And he walks out, he dims the lights. Sometimes there's music playing, and it's actually super peaceful. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know that I knew anyone before, or that I know anyone before that went to acupuncture, but it's so peaceful. And it's always just like, I can feel the energies in my body. I can feel the energy flowing. I can feel the energy moving. I could literally feel going in with my back would feel like it was completely clenched up. I could feel it slowly just like releasing. And it was just kind of like vibrating in a sense, because it was like the energy was working on relieving those obstructions. It was the coolest thing to feel. And after my first couple of sessions, I came back to Mr. Mahogany like, you should try this, because he complains of back pain sometime too. So I'll say now, I recommend it to almost anybody who has any type of pain, chronic pain or migraines or anything that's inflammation or digestive issues. Go try acupuncture, find acupuncture and go for it. And so when my back was really bad, I would actually he would put a heat lamp on. He would turn a heat lamp on and put it close to my back, obviously not touching the needles, but then it wasn't too close, but close enough so that the heat would absorb through the needles into my back. And man, when I tell you, that is a whole different kind of massage. It is like an internal massage, an internal heating pad. It's really, really nice. It's really, really lovely, lovely, lovely. Then I would flip over, and then we would repeat the process pretty much on the front. There's all these little points that he would find. So it was like 9 of them were on my stomach, and then there's some like one in my forehead, like between my eyes, and then one in my forehead, 1 or 2 in my forehead, and then he actually put some in the top of my head. Like 3 were in the top of my head. It was so interesting. I wanted to ask all the questions, but at the same time, I was just there for the appointment. But every time I was so interested, and after a while I knew exactly where he was going to place them, and then he would say, "You good? You okay?" And I would say, "Okay." He'd say, "Okay, he'll be back." And it was wonderful. It was great. I felt like it was like catered just for me. Sometimes when we go to appointments in Western medicine, sometimes when we go to appointments, or when I go to appointments, there's just so much hustle and bustle. There's so many other people, and they're just calling names all loud and wrong, and people don't want to be there. People are just miserable, you can tell. But when the environment that was created in the acupuncture office was so much calmer. Same thing in the chiropractor, so much calmer than what we're used to, or what I was used to. And that's what kept me there. Those are the things that kept me there. I'd fall asleep sometimes. Usually, on my stomach or on my back. I would fall asleep, especially the times where Mommy Junior wasn't there, which, let me talk about that for a second. Little baby, I told you guys that she used to stay and have to go and be in school, virtual school, and go to the chiropractor with me. Well, we homeschool, but the times when I would go to the acupuncturist, I'm like, I still need you to be busy, number one. So I would give her work to do. So if she didn't understand it, I'm sitting there trying to be zen and like zoning out and trying to get my chi flowing correctly. And she's like, "Mommy, I don't understand this." I'm like, oh, why is this my life? But it was good. It was all good. We worked it out. And they always thought she was really interesting because she would just sit there and read, and she was just really quiet and not a problem. But that's just my baby girl. As far as the needle placement, the ones in my wrist, that hurt the worst. They don't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Here's what happens. You feel a little pinprick and you're like, that was different. It's not necessarily hurt. It's just rather kind of like, it wasn't pleasant. It's not to the unpleasant point. It's just not pleasant. And so the one in my wrist was like, okay, I felt the not pleasant feeling. And then after a while, it was like, you need to move your wrist around, because I don't like to stay still for too long. And so 20 minutes on each side of being completely still, that was the hardest part for me, because I move all the time. So that was the hardest part for me. And then my wrist would start to hurt. And I'm like, if I move it, then you actually can feel the needles in there. So it takes a little bit of adjustment. I'm not even going to lie and say, oh, it's the easiest thing ever. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but the results are worth it. But it, after a while, I couldn't, again, just like the chiropractor. I stopped because it was too cold. Towards the winter time, when you have to roll your sleeves up and you have to not have a shirt on and just have on a tank top or sports bra, I was too cold in there to not be moving around. And so I got sick of being cold. And then after a while, I got sick of having needles stuck in me, like 20 needles stuck in me, 20 needles on one side, 20 needles on the other side. It was a lot. It began to be a lot. And then having to keep the needles in there for 20 minutes and not move. And then it wasn't, even in the summertime or the spring, when they started to turn the air on, I was just too cold. I get cold very, very easily. I don't have very great temperature regulation. So after a while, I couldn't do it. And so I can't wear long socks because they need my calves exposed and they need my shins to be exposed. And so I'm like, So after my last round of appointments ran out, I haven't been back in a few months. It's been a few months. However, I can quickly get approval again anytime I would like to and then go right back. And I think that now that school is starting again and I'm going to be in more of a routine with my life and with Mommy Junior and just everything going on, I can set up so that I can go maybe once a week. I could handle once a week or once every other week because I'm in a better spot than I was when I started. I could set that up. So that's kind of like my goal here. And I recommend it to almost anybody. I really do. As long as you're going to be committed to it for a month or two, I would say go for it. Try it out. Find an acupuncturist. Ask them why they do the things they do. Ask them to show you the pathways of which needles they're putting in and where they're putting in. The place that I put in, they had a whole herbal counter behind the main check-in counter. And then they had posters and pamphlets showing exactly like different ailments and different diseases that go with different pressure points. And it's amazing. It's a really amazing science. It's a really amazing therapy. It's a really amazing intervention. However you want to put it, it's wonderful. And I am kind of more apt to try almost any alternative medicine or non-Western medicine than I am to continue or to have anyone say, hey, try this pill, try this new medicine. No, thanks. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not knocking anybody who does it. I'm just sharing my story because my story could help someone. My story could help someone decide what they don't want to do or maybe what they do want to do. And that's all that I'm here for. Is really, this is also cleansing for me just to share my story and to hear me talk about it. So this is my own little sort of talk therapy. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. But that's really all the tea that I have for FND and acupuncture. Chiropractor, acupuncture, those things fall right in line with one another. And tapping as well. Look into the tapping solution. If you haven't heard of that, I will put some of that in my story or I'll make a post about it on Instagram. I'll also put some of the benefits of acupuncture. I have a few diagrams and pictures that I looked up and researched that I think would be beneficial. So if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me because that's what I'm here for. Till next time, be intentional, be faithful, and be humble. Bye.